The survey ship Venture Light drifted slowly through the dark stretch of space where stars no longer burned bright. The crew had traveled far beyond mapped trade routes, reaching a region that scanners called the Dead Sector. Commander Aaron stood at the front of the bridge, staring out through the wide glass panels. He had led many missions before, but never into a place that felt so empty of life. The sensors operator, a young man named Riel, broke the silence. "Commander, something is ahead. Large structure. Metallic readings. No power signals." Aaron leaned forward. "Show me." On the screen, a huge station appeared. It rotated gently, caught in the pull of a collapsed star. The object looked ancient, its surface scarred and broken. Sharp towers rose from its body like the bones of some giant creature. No lights shone. No radio waves escaped. It floated in silence, as if waiting. The crew gathered around the screen. Engineer Mara whispered, "Who could build something like that out here?" Her voice carried both awe and fear. Aaron gave the order. "Bring us closer. Slow approach. Prepare boarding team." The ship's engines hummed softly as Venture Light slid toward the derelict. The station grew larger and larger until it filled the view like a dark planet of steel. Sections were crushed, and some towers hung broken, but the core remained whole. A docking port was found on one of the intact sides. Lieutenant Jorn frowned as he checked his monitor. Still no power. Still no signals. "Commander, this place should be dead." Aaron replied firmly, "And yet it is here. We will see what secrets it holds." Hours later, a boarding team prepared in the airlock. Aaron led them himself. He believed a leader must share the risk. With him were Mara, Riel, and Jorn. Each wore light armor and carried scanning tools. Their helmets glowed with small lights that cut through the black. The hatch opened, and the team stepped into the alien station. The air was thin but breathable, stale with age. Their boots clanged on the metal floor. The walls were covered with strange carvings that looked like flowing rivers of symbols. Mara studied them with wonder. "These are not decorations. They look like a language." Riel shivered. "But the builders are gone. Maybe long gone." They advanced deeper. The halls were wide, built for beings larger than humans. Every corridor led down, as if guiding them toward a heart. The silence was heavy. Their own breathing echoed too loudly in their helmets. At last they reached a set of doors unlike the rest. The doors were black stone, not metal, and smooth to the touch. Strange lines curved across them, meeting at the center. Aaron placed his hand against the surface. The lines began to glow faint blue. The doors opened slowly, without sound. Beyond was a massive chamber. The chamber stretched so far that the light from their helmets barely reached the end. The ceiling arched high like the roof of a cathedral. In the middle stood rows upon rows of pedestals, each holding a crystal skull. The skulls shone faintly as if lit from within, their glow shifting like the pulse of breath. There were not 10, not 100, but thousands. The crew stopped at the entrance, struck by the sight. Mara whispered, "It is like a graveyard." Jorn shook his head. "No. Not a graveyard. A hall of trophies." Aaron walked forward. The light from his helmet fell across the nearest skull. It was not human in shape. Its jaw was wide, its eye sockets long, its crown marked by ridges. The crystal was clear but filled with faint swirling light. When he looked closer, he thought he saw flashes of movement inside. Riel took a careful step back. "Commander, these are not decorations. These skulls are alive in some way." Aaron placed a hand on the pedestal. The skull glowed brighter at his touch. For a moment he felt a faint pressure in his mind, like someone trying to whisper into his thoughts. He pulled his hand away, breathing hard. Mara stepped forward next. "What is this place?" She shone her light across the endless rows. "Each skull is different. Each one belongs to another kind of being. Look, that one has 4 eyes. That one has long fangs. All of them are alien. The chamber seemed to breathe with them. The lights from the skulls flickered softly, like stars reflected in water. Aaron spoke slowly, as if to himself. A collection. A memory vault. But who built it and why leave it drifting here? No one answered. The silence of the chamber was too strong, too ancient. The crew split up to explore the first rows. Each skull they passed felt different. Some pulsed warmly. Others felt cold. Mara activated her scanner, but the readings made no sense. The devices could not identify the material or the energy within. Riel kept close to the commander. His voice was unsteady. "Sir, I do not like this place. It feels as if the skulls are watching us." Aaron kept walking. He would not let fear show. Leaders could not afford fear. Still, in his heart he felt the same. The chamber was not dead. It was waiting. At the far end of the hall, they found a raised platform. Upon it stood the largest skull of all. It was twice the size of a man and shaped unlike any known species. Its glow was deep golden, brighter than the rest. Lines of symbols surrounded the platform, carved into the floor. Mara bent down to study them. "These are the same symbols as in the corridors. Repeated again and again. Maybe this is the key." Aaron stood before the great skull. Its glow reflected in his visor. Whatever this place is, it was meant to be found. But by who, that is the question. As he spoke, the chamber lights flickered. The skulls pulsed brighter, one after another, like waves of fire flowing across the room. The crew froze in awe and fear. Then came the sound. A faint whisper filled the chamber. It was not in one voice but many. High and low, near and far, a chorus of whispers echoed. The words were not human, but the intent was clear. The chamber was awake. Aaron lifted his head. His voice was firm though his heart pounded. "We came to learn, not to steal. Show us your truth." The whispers grew stronger, filling the air like a storm of quiet voices. The crew covered their ears, though the sound was inside their heads more than around them. And then, as quickly as it began, the chamber fell silent. The skulls dimmed but did not fade. The great skull on the platform shone a little brighter, as if it had chosen to listen. The crew stood in stillness, breathing heavily. None spoke for a long while. Finally, Mara whispered the thought that was in all their minds. "This is no graveyard. This is a library of the dead." The chamber remained silent after the sudden burst of whispers. The crew of Venture Light stood among the glowing skulls, trying to understand what had just happened. The air felt heavier than before, as if the very walls carried hidden thoughts. Commander Aaron kept his eyes on the largest skull at the far end of the hall. It glowed with steady light, brighter than the others, as though it had awakened from sleep. Riel's voice shook. "Commander, I heard something. It said my name." Jorn turned sharply toward him. "Do not imagine things. It was only noise." Riel shook his head. "No, it was clear. It called me." His face had gone pale under the glow of his visor. Mara stepped forward, scanning the nearest skull. The device hummed but showed only unreadable symbols. "These are not empty objects. They hold energy, and maybe more than energy. I think each skull carries a mind." Aaron frowned. "A mind, yes," Mara said, her eyes locked on the glowing crystal. "A memory or a soul. Something of the being it once belonged to." The chamber seemed to answer her words. A ripple of light passed across the rows. Dozens of skulls flared brighter for a moment, as if agreeing. Aaron raised a hand to steady the group. "Stay calm. We must study, not panic. If these are memories, then this hall is more than a tomb. It is an archive. The team moved slowly through the rows, each of them drawn to different skulls. Aaron kept close watch but allowed his crew to explore. He knew discovery often required courage to face the unknown. Mara stopped at a skull shaped with long ridges across its crown. As she gazed into it, faint images appeared inside the crystal. She saw a city built of shining towers that reached the sky. Creatures with 4 arms and tall frames walked through streets lit by rivers of light. For a moment, she felt the warmth of their sun and the sound of their voices. Then the vision faded. Mara staggered back, holding her helmet. Riel hurried to her. "What happened?" "I saw their world," Mara whispered. "It was alive inside the skull. It wanted me to see it." Jorn touched another skull with his glove, though he did so with less patience. He was not a man of quiet study. As soon as his hand brushed the surface, a surge of force struck his mind. He cried out and dropped to one knee. His visor display flickered, showing strange signs. Aaron rushed to pull him away. "Easy, Jorn. What did you see?" Jorn's breath came hard. "War. Fire across a world. A fleet burning in the sky. They were fighting to survive, but they lost. All gone." The chamber pulsed again, faint lights flowing across the skulls like the beat of a heart. Aaron looked around, realizing the truth. These are the last memories of lost species. Every skull holds the story of a people that no longer walks the stars. The weight of the chamber pressed harder on them. To stand among 1,000 extinct civilizations was both wondrous and terrible. Riel remained uneasy. He walked slowly, keeping distance from the skulls, yet one called to him more strongly than the rest. It was small, almost human in shape, though its eye sockets were larger. The glow inside it flickered gently like a candle. Against his better judgment, he stepped close. The whisper came again, clear this time. It was not in his ears but inside his thoughts. Riel. He froze. His name had been spoken. His own name, carried by a voice that was not human. He whispered back, though no sound left his lips. "Who are you?" The skull glowed brighter. Images filled his mind, an ocean world where tall beings with finned arms swam among coral cities. Their eyes were wide and bright, their voices deep and soft like the sea. For an instant, Riel felt the cool water against his skin and the peace of their songs. Then the vision shifted. He saw fire rain from the sky. The oceans boiled. The cities collapsed. Silence followed. Riel staggered back, trembling. The whisper spoke once more. "Remember us?" Mara caught his arm. "What did you see?" Riel's voice broke as he answered. "An entire people. They wanted me to remember them." The crew gathered again near the great skull at the center platform. The lights of the chamber dimmed except for that one, which shone golden and steady. Aaron studied it carefully. "This skull may be the core," he said. "It feels like the heart of the chamber. If there is purpose here, it rests with this one." They circled the platform. The symbols carved in the floor glowed faintly under their lights. Mara bent to study them again. "It repeats the same word. Over and over. I think it means witness. This chamber is meant to have witnesses." Jorn still looked shaken, his jaw tight. "Witness to what?" "To death." Aaron shook his head. "Not only to death. To memory. The builders wanted someone to remember what was lost. That is why the chamber reacts to us. It is testing if we can bear the weight." The golden skull pulsed brighter, as though it had heard his words. For a brief second, every skull in the chamber glowed in response. A wave of light filled the hall like a rising tide, then faded slowly back to the steady glow. Riel's voice was soft. "Commander, I think they have chosen us." The thought left the crew silent. The idea that humanity had been called into this ancient archive of lost worlds was too great to accept easily. But each of them had seen visions. Each of them had felt voices in their minds. None could deny the truth. Aaron straightened, his voice firm. If they wish us to witness, then we will witness. If they want us to remember, then we will remember. That is the duty of explorers. We carry not only the story of our own kind but also of others who came before. Mara nodded slowly. Her eyes still shone with the reflection of the skulls. Then we must listen to them. Not just one, but many. We must understand their stories before we decide what to do. The chamber seemed to agree. A faint hum filled the air, low and deep, almost like music. The skulls glowed in rhythm, one after another, forming a slow wave of light across the hall. The voices whispered again, softer this time, like a lullaby carried on a breeze. They did not form words, but they carried feeling. Sorrow, hope, and a plea for memory. Riel whispered what they all felt. They are asking us not to forget. The crew left the chamber hours later, returning to their ship with heavy hearts. None spoke much during the walk back through the dark corridors of the station. Each of them carried visions that would not fade. As they sealed the airlock behind them, Aaron looked back one last time. The faint glow of the skulls still reached the corridor, shining like distant stars. He said quietly, more to himself than the others, "This place is not just a discovery. It is a burden. The question is, are humans strong enough to carry it?" No one answered. But in their silence, each of them already knew the truth. The chamber had awakened for them. And it would not let them go without demanding more. The crew of Venture Light did not sleep well after their first steps into the chamber. Even inside their ship, the whispers lingered in their minds. Each of them carried the weight of visions they had seen. Aaron dreamed of endless fires spreading across star systems. Mara dreamed of tall shining towers crumbling to dust. Riel dreamed of oceans boiling under storms of flame. Jorn dreamed of dark skies filled with ships that never returned. When the next cycle of duty came, the commander gathered his team in the central bay. His face was calm but his eyes revealed the strain of a heavy choice. "We came here to discover, not to flee," Aaron said. "The chamber has shown us memory. But memory alone is not its full purpose. I believe it will test us further." Jorn crossed his arms. "With respect, Commander, I think we have seen enough. That place is filled with death. We should leave before it demands more from us." Mara spoke quickly. "If we leave now, we will never know why the chamber called to us. This is not only about knowledge. It is about proving what humanity is capable of." Riel looked down at the floor. His voice was quiet. "I think Mara is right. The voices, they want to know if we are strong. If we turn away, we answer their question with weakness." Aaron nodded once. "Then it is decided. We return." The team suited up again and entered the station. The halls were the same as before, but the silence felt heavier, like a storm waiting above their heads. When the black stone doors of the chamber opened, the crew braced themselves. This time the glow of the skulls was brighter. Light washed across the pedestals in steady rhythm. The great golden skull pulsed strongly, as if welcoming them back. Aaron spoke firmly. "We are here. Show us what you wish us to see." At once the air shifted. The chamber darkened, though the skulls still glowed. The crew felt a sudden drop in temperature. Their helmet sensors warned of pressure changes, but no leak was present. The ground trembled. Then the visions began. The first illusion was fire. Flames burst from the walls, racing along the stone and metal, rising higher until the chamber looked like the center of a burning world. Heat pressed against their suits, though no material burned. The fire roared but did not consume. Riel cried out, falling to his knees. "It is real, I feel it." Aaron gripped his shoulder. "Stand. It is not real fire. It is fear." The flames twisted, forming shapes of monstrous shadows. They loomed over the crew, tall and shapeless, with hollow eyes that glared. Jorn raised his arm as if to shield himself, but the shadows passed through. Their touch was cold, not hot. Mara whispered, "They are testing how far we can endure." The shadows swirled closer. Voices joined the fire, not gentle whispers this time but fierce cries. They spoke in many languages, unknown yet sharp. The crew could not understand the words, but the feelings were clear. Rage. Despair. Warning. Jorn stumbled back. This is madness. They want to break us. Aaron raised his voice above the roar. Hold fast. Remember what we carry. We are not here to fight shadows. We are here to show that we will not bow. The shadows rushed against them like a wave. The crew closed ranks, standing shoulder to shoulder. The cold struck hard, shaking their bones, but they held. The fire roared louder, then faded. The chamber shifted again. The flames vanished. Now they stood in a storm. Winds howled around them, lifting dust and shards of stone. Lightning tore through the air, striking the pedestals. The skulls glowed fiercely, each flash reflecting in their crystal forms. The wind pressed hard, pushing them back toward the doors. It wanted to drive them out. Mara clutched her scanner, shielding it against her chest. They want to know if we will leave. If we will turn back. Riel leaned into the storm, his small frame nearly blown off his feet. We cannot. If we turn, they will see weakness. Aaron stepped forward, planting each boot with force. He reached the center of the chamber and faced the golden skull. His voice carried through the storm. You want to test us? We do not run from storms. We are human. We walk through them. The storm raged louder, as though angry at his defiance. Lightning cracked again, striking close enough to blind their visors. But the commander stood firm. His crew followed his lead, forcing their steps forward. One by one they reached the platform and stood before the golden skull. The storm screamed around them, but they did not break. At last, the wind slowed. The dust fell. Lightning ended. Silence returned. The chamber gave no time for rest. The floor shook violently, splitting into cracks. From the darkness below rose shapes of twisted metal and bone. They were not shadows this time but clear illusions of warriors long dead. Some carried weapons of light, others had claws and teeth. Their faces were strange, but their eyes burned with anger. The warriors charged. Jorn raised his tool like a weapon, ready to fight, but Aaron raised a hand. No. They are not real. They are fear given form. The illusions rushed forward, striking, slashing, surrounding. The crew felt impacts against their suits, though nothing pierced. The warriors pressed hard, their cries filling the air. Mara trembled but stood her ground. They want us to believe we are weak. If we fight, we accept their lie. If we stand, we show strength. The crew gathered close, standing tall against the assault. The warriors struck again and again. Pain flared in their minds, but they did not move. Finally the warriors froze, their shapes breaking into shards of light. The floor closed. The chamber calmed. The golden skull pulsed brighter than ever before. Its glow spread across the chamber like dawn. The whispers returned, but now they were softer, filled with respect. The fear illusions had ended. Riel let out a long breath, falling to one knee. I thought I would break. I thought I would fall. Aaron placed a hand on his shoulder. But you did not. None of us did. That is what matters. Mara looked up at the golden skull. They wanted to see if humans could stand against fear. They wanted to know if we would bend or if we would endure. Jorn finally spoke, his voice steady though his face was pale. And now they know. The chamber glowed warmly, the skulls shining with new life. It was not the cold glow of before but something softer, almost like approval. The voices whispered together, and for the first time, the crew did not hear sorrow alone. They heard welcome. Aaron looked around at his team. His voice was calm but strong. We passed their test. But this is only the beginning. The chamber has more to show us. We must be ready. The others nodded. Fear still lingered in their eyes, but behind it was something stronger: resolve. The test of fear had not broken them. It had forged them. The chamber glowed with a soft light after the illusions of fire, storm, and warriors faded. The golden skull shone warmly at the center, as though pleased with the human strength. The crew of Venture Light stood in silence, catching their breath. They had passed the test of fear, but each of them knew this was not the end. Commander Aaron's voice was calm but firm. The chamber has tested our minds. Now it will test something more. Stay ready. Mara glanced around the endless rows of crystal skulls. They pulsed slowly, their faint glow like thousands of eyes watching. Her scanner gave strange readings, full of moving signals. Commander, energy levels are rising again. Something is waking. Jorn gripped his arm tool tightly. Another illusion. Riel shook his head. His eyes were fixed on the far side of the hall, where shadows thickened. No. This feels different. The floor rumbled. From the dark edge of the chamber came a sound like grinding stone. The shadows parted, and a massive figure stepped into view. It was a machine, tall as a tower, built of metal and bone fused together. Its chest carried a glowing core, and its head was shaped like a skull larger than a man. Its arms ended in claws of sharp steel, yet it moved with the weight of purpose, not rage. The crew froze in awe. Mara whispered, "It is a guardian." The machine stopped at the center of the hall. Its eyes burned with pale light, sweeping across the humans. The golden skull on the platform pulsed in response, as if commanding the giant. Aaron steadied his crew. Do not attack. It has not struck. It is watching us. The guardian lifted its arm. Energy flowed through the chamber. The gravity shifted suddenly, pressing the humans hard to the floor. Riel gasped as his knees buckled. Jorn cursed under his breath, struggling to stay upright. Mara fell but pushed herself back to her feet. Aaron's voice cut through the strain. Hold steady. This is not to kill us. It is a test. The guardian pressed harder. The weight grew worse, like a mountain resting on their shoulders. Bones creaked. Breath grew short. Yet the crew did not collapse. They leaned on each other, step by step, forcing themselves to stand upright. At last the gravity lessened. The guardian lowered its arm. Its eyes flickered, as though acknowledging their strength. Then it raised its other arm. A wave of silence filled the chamber. Every sound vanished: the hum of the suits, the rush of their breath, even the faint pulse of their hearts. The crew opened their mouths but no sound came out. Panic sparked in Riel's eyes as he clutched at his throat. Aaron motioned sharply. He pointed to his chest, then made the sign for calm. His eyes told the crew, do not break. This is another trial. The silence was crushing. It felt endless, as if sound would never return. But the humans endured. They stood still, refusing to let fear or panic drive them away. After a long stretch, the sound returned in a rush, their breaths filling the chamber again. The guardian's eyes brightened. It stepped closer. The machine lowered its head slightly, as if bowing. Then its chest opened. Inside, light swirled like a star contained in glass. The glow reached out in streams that touched the skulls around the chamber. Each crystal flared for a moment, then dimmed again. Mara's eyes widened. It carries the key to the whole archive. The guardian holds the memory together. The golden skull pulsed strongly in reply, as though confirming her words. The guardian raised its claw once more, but not in attack. It drew a symbol in the air. Lines of light formed shapes, hanging above the humans like a map. The shapes shifted again and again, showing galaxies, star systems, and routes between them. Thousands of paths lit up across the void. Jorn stared upward in awe. It is a map. A map of where all these civilizations once lived. Aaron's jaw tightened. He felt the weight of history pressing down on them. It is not only a map. It is a warning. Look. As they watched, the lights of the star systems dimmed one by one, vanishing into black. At the end, only a few points of light remained faint, fragile. Riel whispered, "This is what happened to them. Each one gone. 1,000 lights turned dark. And we are left." The Guardian's hand dropped. The map dissolved into sparks that faded into the air. It stepped back, towering above them, its eyes still locked on Aaron. The commander stepped forward, placing his hand on his chest in the human gesture of respect. "We understand," he said firmly. "You guard their memories, but you also guard the lessons of their fall. You want to know if we will follow the same path. You want to see if humans are different." The Guardian's eyes dimmed, then flared brighter. Slowly, it knelt down, lowering itself until its massive skull-shaped head was level with the humans. The ground shook with the weight of its movement. The golden skull pulsed again, sending waves of light across the hall. For the first time, the Guardian spoke not in sound, but in a deep voice that filled their minds. "You have endured fear. You have faced silence. You have carried weight. Few have done so. Many came before. Many failed. You still stand." The words echoed in their thoughts, heavy as stone but clear. Mara's heart raced. "It speaks." Aaron lifted his chin. "We will keep standing. That is who we are. We are human." The Guardian studied them for a long moment. Then it rose again, towering above them once more. Its chest closed, hiding the light within. Without another sound, it turned and walked back into the shadows at the far end of the chamber. The ground shook until its steps faded. The chamber grew still. The crew stood together, silent in awe. The golden skull shone softly, calmer now, as if satisfied. Riel's voice was shaky. "I thought it would destroy us. I thought it was our end." Mara touched his arm gently. "It was never meant to destroy us. It was meant to measure us." Jorn exhaled heavily. "And we passed. Somehow." Aaron looked across the endless rows of skulls. His voice was steady. "No. This was only the beginning. The Guardian has shown us what is at stake. Entire civilizations lost. Only their memories remain. Now it is our turn to prove we will not join them." The chamber pulsed in quiet agreement, the skulls glowing faintly once more. The test was not over. The true burden was still to come. The Guardian had vanished into the shadows, leaving the crew of Venture Light alone in the glowing chamber. The echoes of its heavy steps still lived in their minds. None of them spoke for a long moment. They stood near the golden skull at the platform's center, surrounded by the silent gaze of thousands of crystal forms. Mara broke the silence first. Her voice trembled with awe. "It gave us the map. It showed us how all those lights were lost. 1,000 voices, 1,000 endings. But why show us that unless it wanted something from us?" Riel rubbed his hands together as if to warm them. "It is not only a test. It is a request. I felt it when the Guardian spoke. They want us to carry what they could not. They want us to remember them." Jorn frowned, shaking his head. "Remember them? How many skulls are here? 8,000 civilizations. 1,000 voices. Do you think humans can carry such a weight? We will be torn apart before we learn even one story." Aaron stood still, his eyes fixed on the golden skull. His voice was calm but firm. "Perhaps that is why they test us. Not to see if we can collect all of them, but to see if we are willing to try. Humanity has survived by carrying burdens. This may be the greatest one of all. The chamber pulsed faintly, as if agreeing with his words. They gathered around the platform. The golden skull glowed brighter, light spilling across the floor until the carved symbols lit like fire. The whispers returned, no longer sharp or fearful but deep and steady. Words formed inside their minds. We are the last of the last. We are memory without flesh. We are voices without worlds. We wait for those who can carry us forward. Will you bear us? Will you keep us alive in your hearts? Mara pressed a hand to her helmet. The voices filled her completely, drowning every other thought. She swallowed hard, whispering, "They are asking for a bargain." Aaron nodded. "They want us to take their memories. Not to steal, but to hold, to honor. If we accept, humanity will become the keeper of their stories." Riel's face was pale, his eyes wide. "But if we accept, what happens to us? How much can one mind hold before it breaks?" Jorn stepped forward sharply. "We cannot accept. Think clearly. What happens if these voices twist us, or change us? We are explorers, not vessels for the dead." The chamber reacted to his words. The skulls dimmed slightly, their light flickering like a fading flame. The air grew colder. Aaron raised his hand. "Stop, Jorn. You speak from fear. We cannot dismiss this so quickly. This place has waited for ages, holding these memories. If we walk away, who will keep them? Who will remember them?" Mara stepped closer to the golden skull. She gazed into its light, her breath steady though her heart raced. "Maybe that is why humanity was called. Not because we are strongest, or most advanced, but because we have the will to carry more than ourselves. We remember. We write. We share. That is how we survive." The skull pulsed as if answering her words. A beam of golden light reached toward her, stopping just short of her chest. Aaron's voice rose. "It offers itself. But one of us must accept first." Jorn clenched his fists. "No, Commander. This is madness. If Mara accepts, she may be lost. She may not even be human anymore." Riel looked between them. His voice shook, but his eyes held resolve. "Then maybe that is the price. Someone has to take the first step." Mara lifted her chin. "I will do it. If they want one of us to carry their memory, I will bear it. Humanity must show it can be more than a witness. It must be a guardian too." Aaron studied her carefully. "You understand the risk?" She nodded once. "I do. But I also understand the chance. If we refuse, their voices fade forever. If we accept, their stories live." The chamber grew brighter. The whispers rose, forming 1,000 voices speaking together in harmony. The golden skull's light expanded until it wrapped Mara in its glow. She closed her eyes as the energy touched her chest. For a moment, her body stiffened. Images flooded her mind. She saw worlds of crystal oceans, skies filled with two suns, forests of towering red trees, and beings of shapes beyond imagination. She heard songs of joy, cries of loss, and words of hope spoken across ages. It was overwhelming, a storm of lives pressing into her. Her knees buckled, but she did not fall. She held herself upright, her breath heavy but steady. Aaron reached to steady her. "Mara. Are you with us?" Her eyes opened. They glowed faintly for an instant, then returned to normal. Her voice came slowly, layered with faint echoes. "I am here. And I am not alone." Riel stared at her in awe. "What happened?" Mara's eyes filled with quiet wonder. "I carry them now. 1,000 voices may wait, but one has joined me. They are inside me, not to control, but to guide. They do not want to erase who I am. They want to live through me." The chamber pulsed warmly. The skulls brightened again, no longer flickering but steady and alive. Jorn shook his head in disbelief. You think you can carry all of them, every single skull? If one is already this heavy, how can you bear 1,000? Mara turned to him. Her voice was calm but strong. I do not need to carry all at once. That is not what they ask. They need humanity to carry them together. I am the first, but not the last. Each of us can hold a piece. Each of us can share the weight. Aaron looked at his crew. His eyes held pride. Then that is the bargain. Not one person, but all humanity. We will not let them vanish. We will carry them forward, each of us holding a part. This chamber will not be their end. It will be their beginning through us. The whispers swelled again, no longer sorrowful but filled with gratitude. You choose to remember. Then we choose to live. The light dimmed back to its normal glow. The golden skull's beam faded, though its pulse remained strong. Mara stood taller now, her face calm though her eyes carried a depth that had not been there before. Aaron placed his hand against the pedestal. The bargain is made. Humanity accepts. We will carry you. The chamber glowed in answer, thousands of skulls pulsing together like the beat of a great heart. Riel whispered, almost to himself, we just became the keepers of 1,000 worlds. Mara looked across the endless rows of skulls. And now the true test begins. Can we carry the weight of memory without breaking? Aaron turned toward the shadows where the guardian had vanished. His voice was steady. We will carry it. That is what it means to be human. The chamber seemed to breathe again, the light steady and warm. The bargain had been made, and the future of humanity had changed forever. The chamber was quiet, yet alive. The golden skull pulsed softly, casting waves of light across the endless rows of crystal forms. Mara stood at the center, still carrying the memories of the first civilization. Her mind was heavy, filled with visions of worlds and voices that she had never known before. Each breath felt like carrying 100 lives at once, yet she stood firm, her hands brushing the light of the pedestal. Commander Aaron watched her closely. He understood that the trial was far from over. The bargain had been made, but now the chamber would test their ability to choose and endure. Riel and Jorn stood behind him, their eyes wary. What will it ask next? Riel whispered. Aaron's jaw tightened. The chamber does not ask lightly. It asks for courage, for sacrifice, for wisdom. Someone must step fully into its heart. The first choice will shape everything. The golden skull glowed brighter. A beam of light shot up from its surface, reaching toward the ceiling, where it split into a network of energy lines. They spread across the chamber like threads connecting every skull. The chamber pulsed with a slow rhythm, almost like breathing. Mara stepped closer. The voices she carried whispered in her mind. You are chosen. The next step will decide who carries the legacy. She looked at Aaron. I feel it. The chamber wants me to accept more. To carry not just one memory, but to become a link for all of them. But if I do, I may never be the same. Aaron placed a hand on her shoulder. You are ready. That is why the chamber called you first. You will not carry them alone. We are here. You will have our support. Jorn stepped forward, shaking his head. This is too much. We cannot ask one person to bear all of that. The weight is unimaginable. Mara turned to him, her eyes steady. It is not about strength. It is about choice. I choose to step forward because if none do, these voices will fade forever. If I refuse, we fail as humans before we even try. She extended her hands to the golden skull. Light flowed from it and touched her chest. Instantly, the chamber changed. The walls seemed to dissolve, revealing visions of thousands of worlds. Cities of crystal and metal, oceans with towering creatures, skies lit with twin suns, forests of glowing trees, deserts of shifting sands. The voices of the lost civilizations rose in a chorus, not loud but clear in her mind. Aaron felt the pressure in her aura, a weight he could not see but could sense. The images overwhelmed Mara, yet she stood tall. She spoke, her voice calm but layered with echoes of countless lives. I am here. I accept the burden. I carry your memories not to own them, but to let them live. They will guide us, teach us, and remind us of who we can be. The chamber reacted. The rows of skulls brightened as though alive, their glow spreading outward. The golden skull pulsed steadily, sending waves of energy through Mara. She staggered, but Aaron caught her. You are doing well, he said firmly. Hold the balance. Do not let them control you. The chamber tested her further. The light around her expanded, and suddenly, Mara was surrounded by visions of destruction. Worlds burning, civilizations falling, oceans rising, cities crumbling. The voices of the lost cried out in panic, sorrow, and anger. Riel stepped closer, extending his hand, but he was careful not to touch her directly. Mara, focus on your own mind. You cannot carry all of this if you lose yourself. Mara's eyes glowed with determination. I know. I am not here to become them. I am here to remember them, to hold them, to let their stories survive. The vision slowed. The screams softened into quiet echoes. Mara's heart pounded, yet her mind stayed steady. Each memory flowed through her like a river, but she did not drown. She was the bridge between the past and the future. Aaron stepped forward. Good. Now speak to them. Tell them that they are remembered. Mara did so. Her words carried in the chamber, not sound but thought. You are not lost. You are remembered. Your stories will live. Your worlds will be known through us. The golden skull shone brighter than ever. The chamber hummed in response, each crystal echoing her declaration. The trial of choice was not just hers. It was the choice of humanity to carry memory, to honor life, to become more than survival alone. The chamber pulsed, and Mara felt a shift in herself. She was not alone in her mind anymore. The first civilization's memory flowed with her thoughts, guiding her, but not controlling her. She understood their songs, their knowledge, their warnings. She saw the path they had taken and the mistakes that led to their end. Aaron watched closely. Do you feel them trying to change you? Mara shook her head. No. They are not trying to change me. They are teaching me. They are letting me see, not to take over, but to guide us forward. Riel's voice trembled with awe. Then it works. She can carry them and still remain herself. That is what makes humans special. We endure. We adapt. We remember without losing who we are. Jorn nodded slowly, understanding now. It is not strength alone. It is will. Humanity's will can carry even 1,000 memories if we choose to accept it. The golden skull pulsed one last time. Light streamed into Mara, then flowed back into the chamber, spreading through all the crystal skulls. Each one glowed steadily, a silent promise that their knowledge and memory had a vessel. Mara stepped back from the platform. Her chest heaved, but her face was calm. I have accepted. I will carry them as long as I live. And I will teach others to carry what comes after me. The chamber responded with a soft hum. The shadows receded. The rows of skulls glowed warmly, no longer flickering but steady and alive. The guardian remained in the distance, its form faint but calm. Aaron placed his hand on her shoulder. You have passed the trial of choice. You have shown that humanity can bear the weight of memory without being consumed. That is rare. That is why we are here. Mara nodded. This is only the beginning. There will be more trials, more decisions. But now we know that we can carry their legacy. The chamber seemed to breathe again, its pulse slow and steady, like the heart of a living being. The golden skull glowed warmly, a guide for the humans who had chosen to honor the past. Riel whispered softly, almost in awe, we are not just witnesses. We are keepers. Humanity is now part of this hall. Mara looked across the thousands of skulls, each one holding a story, a life, a civilization. And as keepers, we will make sure their voices are never forgotten. That is our trial, our choice, and our duty. Aaron looked around at his crew. We have taken the first step. The trial of choice is complete. The chamber will now open the next path, and we must be ready. The chamber pulsed again, steady and welcoming. For the first time, the crew felt hope, not fear. They had survived the trial, and humanity had made its mark. The chamber was alive with quiet energy. The golden skull pulsed steadily, and the rows of crystal skulls glowed warmly. Mara stood near the center, still carrying the first civilization's memory. Her mind was full, yet clear. She could feel the weight of the stories, but she had not been broken. The trial of choice had shown that humans could endure what others could not. Commander Aaron stepped forward, looking around the vast hall. The chamber seemed endless, stretching beyond the edges of the visible walls. We have passed the trials, he said. We have endured fear. We have faced the Guardian. We have accepted the burden of memory. Now, there is one final step. Humanity must leave its mark. Riel and Jorn exchanged nervous glances. A mark, Riel said softly. What does that mean? Mara placed a hand on the golden skull. It is the chamber's way of recognizing that we belong here now. That we are the keepers. That humanity is not just witness but participant in this history. The golden skull pulsed brighter in response, sending waves of light across the floor. A path opened at the far end of the chamber. It was not a door but a corridor made of pure light, leading to a pedestal alone at the edge of the hall. Atop the pedestal lay a single skull, unshaped, empty, waiting. Jorn stepped back. That one is ours, isn't it? Aaron nodded. It is. It is the chamber's way of saying that humans now have a place in this archive. That we will leave our mark among the civilizations that have come before. Riel swallowed hard. And what does it take to make that mark? Mara stepped closer to the pedestal. It takes courage, focus, and the willingness to carry memory forward. Just as I accepted the first civilization, we must now give something of ourselves to this hall. Not to be consumed, but to contribute. Aaron gestured toward the empty skull. Someone must place a human memory here. It does not need to be the memory of one person, but a symbol of humanity. A seed for the chamber to grow with our kind. Riel hesitated. But what if it changes us? Mara shook her head. It will not change who we are. It will only extend who we can be. We carry knowledge. We honor life. That is what makes humans special. Jorn finally stepped forward. Then let us do it. Together. Aaron nodded. He reached for the empty skull. The moment his hand touched it, the chamber responded. Light poured from the golden skull and flowed into the empty one. The glow spread across the floor, tracing the carvings and pedestals. The other skulls pulsed with approval. Mara closed her eyes. She felt the energy flow through her, connecting with the golden skull and the memories she already carried. For a brief moment, she was aware of the thoughts of every crew member, every choice, every hope they had ever held. It was a small reflection of all humanity, a seed that the chamber would recognize. The empty skull began to take shape. Light formed ridges and lines, and slowly it became a crystal skull, perfectly human in form. It pulsed with a soft glow, echoing the pulse of the golden skull. The chamber seemed to hum in satisfaction. Riel whispered, "It is beautiful." "It is us," Aaron nodded. "Not just us. It is what we represent. Humanity's ability to endure, to remember, to carry on. The chamber will now see that we are part of its legacy." Mara placed her hands on the new skull. A warmth spread through her body. She could feel the connection between the past civilizations and the present humans. She understood the responsibility fully. This was not a trophy. It was a duty. A promise to all who had come before. The guardian, still visible in the distance, stepped forward. Its form seemed calmer than before, almost peaceful. It lowered its massive head to observe the new human skull. The pulse of its chest matched the glow of the golden skull, and the chamber filled with quiet light. The corridor of light that had led to the pedestal began to expand, forming a pathway back toward the station's main hall. The crew gathered along it, gazing at the human skull. They felt the weight of history and the hope of the future at once. Riel spoke softly. We are part of something greater than ourselves. Something that will last beyond any one life. Jorn nodded, finally understanding. We are no longer just explorers. We are keepers of memory. That is why the chamber chose us. Mara looked at the golden skull. The chamber gave us trust. It allowed us to show that humans can endure, can choose wisely, and can carry what others could not. Now it will watch over us as we continue the work. Aaron placed a hand on the empty pedestal, where the human skull now rested fully formed. This is humanity's mark. It is not the end. It is a beginning. We will add to this hall, piece by piece, memory by memory, life by life. The chamber will not forget us, and we will not forget those who came before. The chamber pulsed one final time, the glow washing over every crystal skull. The golden skull shone brightly, its light spreading outward to every corner. Mara felt a calm strength settle within her. She had carried the first memory. She had helped place humanity's mark. She was no longer just herself, but a link between the past and the future. Riel smiled, a quiet but wide smile. We have done it. We have left our mark. Humanity belongs here now. Jorn looked around the hall. And we will continue. We will not fail. We will carry this burden and honor it. That is who we are. Aaron stepped forward, placing his hand beside Mara's on the pedestal. The chamber has chosen humanity. We will honor that trust. We will carry the memories, share the lessons, and ensure that no civilization is ever completely lost again. The chamber pulsed softly, and for the first time, the crew felt complete peace. The rows of skulls glowed steadily, the guardian had retreated to a shadowed corner but remained watchful, and the golden skull shone warmly, acknowledging that its task had been fulfilled for now. Mara looked at the human skull, now fully glowing. This is our promise. To remember, to carry, to endure. We are the link between the past and the future. We are human. Riel nodded, his eyes shining. We have become part of something eternal. Jorn placed a hand on Mara's shoulder. And we will continue. Not just for ourselves, but for all who came before us and all who will come after. Aaron looked at his crew, proud and steady. The Chamber of 1,000 Skulls is no longer just a place of memory. It is a place of life, through us. Humanity has left its mark. And now, we step forward to carry it into the stars. The crew turned toward the corridor of light, leaving the pedestal behind, carrying with them the stories, lessons, and memories of 1,000 lost civilizations. They were not only explorers anymore. They were keepers. Humanity had earned its place in history, and the chamber would never forget their mark.